The Blue Bird by Madame d'Aulnay. Once upon a time there lived a king who had a sweet and gentle daughter called Florine. It happened so that he was a widower, and one day he decided to marry again. His new wife was a poor widow with a daughter. Her daughter was rather ugly and very selfish. That's why her nickname was Troutlet. It is very sad, but the new queen and her daughter hated Florine. They were jealous of her beauty. One day, a foreign prince called Prince Charming arrived at the royal castle. The queen's dream was to marry her daughter Troutlet to Prince Charming. But when the young man saw Florine, he fell in love with her at once. The queen was enraged and locked her stepdaughter in a high tower. The wicked lady decided to play a cruel trick. Her maid told the prince that he would be able to talk to Florine in the garden at night. It was a very dark night, and the prince didn't realize that he was telling about his love and their marriage to ugly Troutlet, whose face was hidden behind a black veil. She took the prince to her godmother, the wicked fairy Sorcier, and introduced him as her fiancé. It was terrible when the prince understood in which trap he was. He tried to run away and cried that he would better die, but never marry sly Troutlet. It didn't help, and the furious fairy turned him into a blue bird. Meanwhile, Florine stayed at the high tower, cried and missed her sweetheart. One day, a blue bird sat on her window and told a sad story. It was her beloved Prince Charming. Every day they met and talked for hours, and even sometimes forgot about their unhappy destiny. But one evening, the wicked queen discovered what was happening. She ordered to cover everything around the castle with sharp pieces of glass and glue them to the trees. When the blue bird sat in a tree, he cut his wings and feet. The dying prince managed to reach his nest. Luckily, a magician was passing by and found him. He took the injured bird to his house and looked after him so well that the bird returned to life. Then Florine's father died, and people of the kingdom rescued Florine from the tower, took her to the throne, and imprisoned the wicked queen. Florine couldn't be happy without her Prince Charming and decided to try to find her sweetheart. Meanwhile, the magician visited the wicked fairy Sorcier and tried to persuade her to break her terrible spell. Sorcier had only one condition: the prince must marry the ugly Troutlet. Sadly, he agreed to do this, and Prince Charming became a man once more. That same day, the new Queen Florine, disguised as a pleasant woman, and reached the gate of Prince Charming's palace. Florine was very sad when she heard about his future marriage. The first thought was that she was betrayed. but she decided to meet her prince. Wise Florin understood that something was wrong there. It wasn't easy to go through all the gods' posts, but the brave girl did, and at last she was in his room. You can't imagine how happy he was to see his sweetheart. At that moment, the magician arrived with a good fairy who wished to help the nice couple. Exactly before the wedding, she turned Troutlet into an ugly turkey. Very soon Prince Charming and his Queen Florine got married at last, and there was a great feast where the best guests were the resourceful magician and the good fairy.